As you know, testing has changed, and so too has the report that you will receive that contains the testing results. While different than what you've seen in the past, it's still very parent-friendly. So let's break it down section by section. At the top of each report for the Kentucky Performance Rating for Educational Progress, or KPREP, is an explanation of how the standards have been raised, as well as a reminder that the results you're about to see are only one data point, and that in order to determine how successful your student is, you should also consider how they're doing with classwork, projects, and other assessments. The next area contains a chart showing your students' performance levels. Different grades are tested on different subjects. In this sample, you see 3 subject areas. You see where your students scored, what the average score in that subject is at the student's school, the district average, and the state average. Just as before, the classifications are the same: novice, apprentice, proficient, and distinguished. But remember, the bar has been raised, and it is more difficult to score in those areas because the standards are tougher and the cutoffs for these categories are higher. In the next section, you get an explanation of your student's performance level in each subject area. What does it mean to be proficient in science? This will give you a better idea of your student's level of understanding in each subject area. Moving to the back page, you will see your student's growth percentile. Last year's test in reading and mathematics grouped your student and others with similar test scores. Using this year's test, your student is compared to his or her group, and a student growth percentile is created, which shows how your student kept pace or fell behind the group. The next section contains your student's lexile and quantile measures. Now these sound like fancy words, but quite simply, a student receives a lexile reader measure based on their score that describes their reading ability. By going to lexile.com, you can find books that are suitable to the student's lexile measure. Quantile describes a student's mathematical achievement. By going to quantiles.com, you can learn more about the student's mathematical skills and understanding of concepts. Plus, you can also find activities parents can use with their children. Finally, you will see how your student compared to other students across the nation. Some of the questions on your student's test were the same questions some other students have tackled across the nation on previous tests. That percentile ranking you see in the first column is in comparison to a national statistical norm group of students. In this instance, in reading, the student performed as well or better than 68% of the national group of students. In the last column, you will see what you and your student's teacher can do to improve and/or continue progress in that subject matter. And that's it. 2 pages that provide you with an idea of how your student is performing in the classroom. Again, remember, this is just one data point, but a very important data point. And it's important to be active in your student's learning. Watch for other indicators and talk with teachers to get an overall picture of your student's achievement.